This mysterious country has been attracting the attention of scientists and enthusiasts in China for centuries. It holds so many secrets that they are enough for many generations of historians and archaeologists. In this video, we will focus on the most interesting unsolved mysteries of ancient China. Before I start, I want to tell you about my new channel Visioner Interesting, in which I talk about interesting facts and events. I put the link to the channel in the video description, as well as in the top right corner. So, let's continue. Perhaps the most mysterious legacy of past civilizations on Earth are the pyramids, which can be found in different parts of the world. In one of my video clips, I have already told about many questions that the pyramids of Egypt pose to specialists. But the pyramids built in China raise just as many questions. If about the pyramids, the most surprising thing is that the public became aware of the Chinese pyramids only in the middle of the 20th century, when an American World War II pilot accidentally discovered them on his way back from another operation. And only in 1994, an archaeologist from Austria received official permission from the Chinese authorities to travel to the areas closed to tourists. At first he found 6 giant pyramids, but his surprise was boundless when he discovered more than 100 pyramids in the distance. But even in China itself, not many people know about the existence of these monuments. They are located in forbidden military zones or hard-to-reach places. The Chinese government confirmed the existence of about 400 pyramids only in 2000 and declared that the pyramids are just the tombs of the ancient rulers of China. The largest of them was called the Great White Pyramid. According to experts, the height of the pyramid exceeds 300 meters, while the Cheops Pyramid is only 147 meters. The age of the pyramids is unknown, and the locals, of course, cannot say anything intelligible about it. Scientists managed to find the diaries of 2 Australian traders who visited the area in 1912. Then they happened to meet an old Buddhist monk who reported that the pyramids are mentioned in extremely ancient records kept in his monastery. The records are about 5,000 years old, but even there the pyramids are called very ancient, built under ancient emperors who said they came from the sons of heaven. Of course, the question immediately arose as to whether there was a connection between ancient cultures, such as Sulfu. The name of the capital of the Shaohao Empire is consonant with one of the variants of the name of the pharaoh Cheops Khufu. Perhaps the same ancient builders belonging to the same civilization had a hand in the construction of the pyramids. In any case, such theories do not seem unbelievable at all, and the only question is whether the Chinese authorities will allow to investigate the mysterious pyramids. In 1999, a local peasant stumbled upon strange caves in Anhui province. These caves, which were later named Huashan, turned out to be incredibly huge and man-made. The most surprising thing is that they have not been preserved in historical chronicles, and there is not a single mention of these unique structures. It is still unclear who created them and why. If we assumed that ore was mined in the caves, then why they are so similar to the temples? Why were they arranged, and what was really going on in the caves? The largest cave began to be called an underground palace. Just imagine its size, 12,500 square meters. At that, the masters of the past carved stone bridges over the river, stairs, passages, pools, large columns. And then another question arises: where did the masons take out so much stone and ore that the mountain after the construction became almost intact, and the houses of local peasants are built mainly of bluestone, but there is not a single one built of cave stones? Moreover, there are no wall paintings of non-Buddhist deities in these caves, so it does not appear that they served any cultic purpose. There is another intriguing feature of Huashan Cave, located on the 30th degree. On this parallel are the mysterious Mount Kailash in Tibet, the Bermuda Triangle, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, and other mysterious and anomalous points on the planet, as far as it is a coincidence. According to the classic version, the Great Wall of China was built from the 3rd century BC for almost 2,000 years and stretches for almost 9,000 kilometers. It was built to delineate the borders of the country and protect China from nomadic raids. Slaves and captives as well as soldiers were driven to build it in the first place. They built it literally to death. But not so long ago, some scholars expressed doubts against this traditional version, and their doubts are not unfounded. These scholars argue that as a defensive structure, the wall makes no sense because it is so long that it is virtually impossible to place defensive posts along its entire length. There would not be enough military forces, and the wall runs along the crests of hard-to-reach mountains and hills, where not only nomads, but even a professional army would not be able to reach. Another fact that is still suspect is that it is impossible to determine when this great defensive structure was first mentioned by ancient historians. Moreover, some modern skeptics highly doubt that the Great Wall existed before the middle of the 20th century and believe that what is shown to tourists was built by Chinese communists. Usually tourists are shown one section of the Great Wall, located 60 kilometers from Beijing. The wall at this location is 50 kilometers long, but many non-tourist fragments of the wall pose a question. Take a look at what the wall looks like in these non-touristy areas. For example, a fragment of the wall is in the Gongzu area, and this section of the wall is in the Yingchuan area, and this is a far cry from how people imagine the Great Wall. Finally, another inexplicable oddity is the location of the loopholes. They were supposed to face north, where nomads were expected to attack, so that they could be fired at, but many of them look south, that is, towards China itself. Based on all these arguments, opponents of traditional history suggest that the Great Wall of China was built much later than that date, and with the specific purpose of this construction is still not fully determined. The next unique find is rightly called the eighth wonder of the world. In 1974, during the excavations near the city of Xi'an, archaeologists discovered the so-called terracotta army. More than 8,000 life-size terracotta sculptures of men, warriors, and horses that guarded the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi. During the excavation of the terracotta army, scientists made another, already terrifying discovery. They found the remains of 70,000 workers and their families. This was apparently done to keep the secret of making the terracotta army alive. Amazingly, among the 8,000 sculptures, no two are alike. Each figure has its own individual features, its own uniforms, and even facial expressions. It is still unknown where these figures were made. Each of them weighs about 135 kilograms, and experts have found out that the sculpture was first shaped and then fired. Only to produce such a huge number of sculptures of the highest quality requires an entire highly developed production. It is hard to imagine something like this more than 2,000 years ago. The technology of making weapons is also astonishing. For 2,000 years they have not blunted or lost their brilliance. Europeans came to such technology only in the early 20th century. But the most interesting thing is that at this point the Chinese have completely frozen the excavations, at least officially. They refer to the fact that they want to preserve their cultural heritage, and for several decades now, scientists cannot get to the emperor's tomb, and it is not known how long this situation will continue. And the following unique find is not fiction or Photoshop and was widely covered on Chinese television. In 2008, Chinese archaeologists discovered a 400-year-old Ming Dynasty tomb untouched by looters. There was a huge stone coffin in it. Excavations were conducted very carefully, the earth was gradually removed, and at some point next to the coffin, scientists stumbled upon a strange metal object. After removing a layer of dust from the new find, scientists realized that it was a miniature clock. Amazingly, on the back of the dial was an inscription in the English language Swiss, meaning that the clock from the tomb was a Swiss watch. And it was still a couple of centuries before such clocks appeared on the market. The frozen hands showed the time 10:06. At first, scientists were disappointed by the find, because the presence of miniature watches clearly indicates that the tomb was opened already in our time. As you understand, the assumption that the clock was placed at the time of burial immediately fell away. Wristwatches began to be made only in the 17th century, but such miniature watches were out of the question at that time. However, the examination, carried out in Beijing to determine the age of the clock, shocked the experts. It turned out that their age corresponded to reality. They lay in a tomb dating back to the 4th century. This artifact has stumped scientists because, apart from the idea that the clock made time travel, its presence in the tomb cannot be explained until now. Scientists cannot give an unambiguous explanation of how an unusually small Swiss watch got into an ancient tomb, and so far no scientific report on this find has been published, because after the first data was obtained, all research on the watch was classified. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and write what you think about it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support is very important to me.